substandard foods from other countries that don't have the same um, the same what's the word I'm looking for? Welfare rights that we have. We have high standards of welfare of the animals in this country, and the imported food doesn't have the same high welfare standards that we do. A lot of the food that's imported is mislabeled. It's misdirected. It says it's Britain, but it's come from elsewhere, and then it's only been packed or labeled in Britain, and that's very wrong. That shouldn't be. If it hasn't come from Britain, it shouldn't be labeled as British food. That needs addressing, and then obviously we've got the massive net zero agenda that is out there that is absolutely hammering the farmers on the carbon credit side, whereas actually farmers are a great solution to the carbon credits, and it's the big business that's causing the problems. But they want to blame the farmers. I mean, you've all heard about the cow farts and all the rest of it and that. I mean, how ludicrous does it have to get before people actually say, well, come on,
But
you know?
this is like this with everything. Literally, we heard about asymptomatic disease, about acting like you've got it. We heard. I mean, we can see genocide being committed in Gaza, and nothing is being done. Literally, our uh,
Yeah.
tax money are being used to fund this. We see so many things, and we got so many contradicting information. Just one technical. We just had the one technical issue. I didn't realize, but stream went live first on X. We were just testing, so it was live from the beginning on X platform, but it started later on Facebook and on YouTube. So I do apologize. We will recap. So sorry for Twitter guys if you have to re-listen us again. So we will just I don't want to disconnect the stream. We will just start again, start the conversation. So Steph, just a quick introduction, and we'll just recap what we just mentioned.
Oh, hi. My name's Steph. I've been involved in farming for about 50 years. That shows my age. Dairy, beef, and sheep is my own personal experience, and horses. And now, although I'm not an active farmer anymore, as in the husbandry side of the animals, I actually still go to a lot of the farmers' meetings and I help with the form filling and the red tape side of things for the farmers that I know. And as I say, in one county alone, we've got several different types of farmers. We've got hill farmers with sheep and beef. We've got agricultural arable farmers. Arable farmers, and we've got growers, and they all each have their own individual problems. A lot to do with the weather. I saw arable fields under about 2 foot of water. So how you're meant to get anything to grow under 2 foot of water is. But they keep talking about climate change and net zero and green agendas, and everything's interrelated. Everything is interrelated. Very briefly, the farmers in immediate issues at the moment are the cheap imports, the wrong labelling, and this net zero, which has to be tackled.
Hmm. How net zero? Because again, with all those slogans, they seems to be positive, but how? What does that mean in reality for you as a farmer when they're announcing policy like net zero? What does this equate to you in practice?
Well, it's causing a great deal of problems because farmers are having to take extreme measures to try and meet this net zero and their carbon emissions and all the rest of it and that. Whereas your politicians are still riding around in Range Rovers and jumping in and out of private planes. And so the big business are looking for the farming industry to sequester the carbon, so they can buy carbon credit. It's quite technical, but so they can buy carbon credits. I'm not an expert. I don't pretend to be an expert, but I know it's causing an awful lot of grief for an awful lot of farmers trying to reach the goals that are being put in their way.
So practical thing is like increasing diesel price, taxing you more. Is that what's happening as a result of net
Well,
zero?
I mean, those are all part and parcel of what's taking place. Yeah, yeah, absolutely, part and parcel of more of the restrictions that there are. I mean, a lot of the farmers' protests now are to go to the government and the supermarkets and ask them to be reasonable. The problem is that I don't think if going on past performance, I don't think for 1 minute the supermarkets are going to change what they're doing, and I don't think for 1 minute the government are going to change what they're doing. Yes, we can try, and we're all behind everybody that's trying to do something about it. There are an army of people out there who are more than willing to help. I mean, when the growers used to bring in the people from Poland and that to do the picking and things like that, and then they can't bring the same staff in. There are an army of people here willing to give up time and energy and go and help. If we got a database going of the farmers who need help with getting the veg up, picking the fruit, whatever, there's an army of people who would say, I'll give a week to that, I'll give a fortnight to that. I mean, a lot of it's done mechanically, we know, and we may not know that side of things, but the manual work, absolutely. I mean, there's a vast van life community. People would be happy to, as long as they got a space to put their van on, spend a week, spend a fortnight helping out. So one of the solutions would be for us to all connect, the farmers to actually explain in more detail the actual specific problems that they're having. And as I say, you've got hill farmers, arable farmers, growers, all with unique problems. If they explain to us and we can put together a database of people who are happy to go and help, then that would at least solve some of the staffing problems. We just picked up on people offering to do lambing, and people who need people to do lambing, and we're working on trying to marry those together at the moment. So people's solutions to farmers' problems, because I don't think the old solutions are going to be fixed. I think it has to be radical new solutions. And the PFFA, which is the
Well, can you
People's Farm,
expand what? Can you expand on abbreviation so we understand
sorry,
what that stands for?
sorry, Radislaw. Could you say that again,
This
please?
abbreviation P. If you can expand,
Oh,
what does that
yeah.
mean?
It's People's Farmers and Food Alliance, PFFA, People's Farmers and Food Alliance. There's a lady called Catherine McBean who is in charge of that, and they actually have an infrastructure in place now. It's a radical solution to a radical problem that we're having. But what we need to do is for the farmers to look to get involved with it, and the farmers to engage with it from their side, and the people to get involved with it, and the people to engage with it from their side. And there is an infrastructure, a people's solution there's an infrastructure in place to get new markets going and to allow farmers to sell their products in a new way, in new spaces created by the people. And that way they don't have to go begging to the government, and they don't have to go begging to the supermarkets. You know, yeah, the farming industry has always had subsidies and everything else, and they are now being quietly taken away, a lot of the subsidies. So a lot of the farmers, if unless they diversify, are going to be struggling. But why should the farmer have to diversify and always have to go into camping and glamping and a million and one other things? Farmers should be allowed to farm. And if they're growing crops or they're growing, you know, the cattle and the sheep and that, they should be allowed to be on a level playing field and get a fair price for their produce, and that the People and Food and Farmers Alliance is actually created an infrastructure for them to be able to do just that. So I think if everybody got on board with that, they would find that they're not having to go begging to the government or to the supermarkets. They'll have new markets open up to them, which will give them far more opportunities to control their own
That
lives.
I think that what you said is the key message that we have for today, because the answer will not come from government, and it will not come from supermarkets, and
Yeah,
we're being literally attacked by those institutions. So it looks like government is completely hijacked by big corporations. That's why all those policies,
yep,
they are designed to create monopoly. That's why if people will
yeah,
understand like the bigger picture, like 10,000 meter up, and just see what is really going on, you would understand that the last industry standing in Europe is farming. Pretty
yeah,
much nothing gets produced anymore. We're importing everything. Steel industry gone. Car maker industry now is turning into EVs, and EVs are not produced in Europe. So everything is pretty much produced outside of Europe, outside of UK, and we are being like subjugated in
yeah,
economical way. So like extortionate price of energy. Small business is not profitable. Farming is not profitable. And like you said, this is common sense. Since beginning of times, people were farming. I mean, since we invented the farming, we were farming, we were growing food. How can anybody claim that farming is not sustainable or profitable? How can you come to that ridiculous point? So this is the result of policy, monetary policy,
yeah,
uh, banksters manipulating industry. But then in the end, the like ultimate goal is for them, for corporations, to grab
mm,
everything. If they will take over of every aspect of our life, and we can see this. That's why
yeah,
we got all this censorship on social media, because they own
mm,
those platforms. Then we've
yep,
got energy prices. Why do we pay extortionate energy prices? Why do we
yeah,
pay there is a cheap fuel called LPG, liquefied petroleum gas. It's a just byproduct of making petrol. Why this is removed from market? Why
mm,
price is so extortionate? Why diesel price is going up? It's all taxes. It's just manipulation, monetary manipulation, policy. This is understanding who is the real enemy. So the real enemy is the big business that managed to hijack the government. So that's where the problem that we're facing, and we've seen this clearly with the last 3 years of so-called pandemic, and we've seen skyrocket. I mean, that was record-breaking profits for big pharma industry. So this is what they want to build: just mega corporation colluding with government, where everybody else, every other person, will be priced out of the business. And just notice how convenient was that during so-called plague. certain businesses were operating unaffected. Like there was no
Hmm.
disease in McDonald's or
No,
Asda or Tesco's. So
no.
supermarket people were immune. Where is logic of that? But then if you see the toll of this, if you understand, like most people, they just live hand to mouth. If you print money, you give them to people, and you just leave six businesses open, what you're doing,
Yeah.
you're just funneling all those money to those corporations. So those money were literally funneled to whatever was open. So likes of your McDonald's, Amazon, etc., etc. This is not level playing field. And the
No.
same with all this. That's just policies. You cannot tell me or convince me, like you said, that farming is not profitable or farming is not useful. Since
I
beginning
mean,
of times,
yeah.
we were
Well,
growing food.
we lost the mining industries because of the oil industry, because they want it all. We lost the fishing industries. I mean, absolutely destroyed. Fishing industry is to do with food and food production. And it's just destruction of one industry after another. And we're down to whether we're going to get to eat or not, or what we're going to get to eat. You know, farmers should be allowed to farm, and that, it's just ridiculous. And they're never going to control the cheap imports. We know people have to eat, but you can eat very, very well, very, very cheaply if you buy fresh produce and you cook it from scratch. But again, they don't even teach that anymore. In schools, they used to teach cooking and sewing and a whole lot of things that are useful. And that's all out the window now. They want to teach them about genders and trans and all the rest of the things they want to teach them about that don't actually do anybody any good whatsoever. The homesteading industries, the farming industries, the way to keep the family together and eat healthy. Then we don't need the pharmaceutical industries. If you understand foraging, if you understand herbs and things like that, everything that you need to be a well person is within your food, it's within your reach. You don't need to be taking pills and stuff like that. So, I think, a lot of it is they've taken away the education. Common sense has gone out the window. Let's get back to basics. Let's get back to basics. Grow seasonal produce. Get used to only having and eating seasonal produce in season. And, there's no so many miles to get your spuds and your carrots. There's not so many miles to get, what you want to eat to stay healthy. It's right on your doorstep. So we've always had farmers markets, but there aren't enough of them. So we need to find out the areas where there aren't any and maybe create some. If a farmers market is in your area and it's only, say, once a month, perhaps we need to get it there once a fortnight or once a week, and change the shopping habits to buying fresh from quality suppliers
That's
in
the
your own
thing.
area.
That's great idea, Steph. That's what people don't understand. That ultimately, that's us who got the power. It's not the government.
Yeah,
It's not the big business. Whatever we think, like even massive corporation, they are just like literally 1 week away from bankruptcy. If everybody will just stop buying their produce, they will go out of business. So we need to understand that ultimately it is us, the members of public. And what happened over the last 2 years, we can see this brutal attempt to dominate everything, brutal attempt to trample on every right that we have, including right of self-sustaining ourselves, right to work,
yep,
freedom of movement, freedom of speech. freedom of bodily integrity. We were attacked on every possible front. So that's why help will not come from institution, help will not come from government. But we can come together and we can help each other instead of creating division between each other. Like there was some comments after rally in Preston, there was some comments that like conspiracy theorists showed up. We are not conspiracy theorists. We are
Real,
activists, and then
realist.
we are realists. And then another thing is we are not your enemy. We are helping you. We are coming together to help you to aid your cause. So it's the government, it's the supermarkets who are affecting you as a farmer, if you're a farmer, and we are there to help you. So how can we work together? Your problem is middleman. Middleman is regulated by the government. Also, middleman pays the government to introduce policies. So you're trapped. You cannot be profitable. So why not bypassing the middleman and trading directly to public? If we do
Yep,
this, this will shake the industry. And I said this over several last live videos and when speaking to people. If we change the habit, like Steph just suggested, just 10% of your monthly shopping, just 10%, it's not much, just one weekly shopping that you're doing, do this entirely on your local market or get some contact, look on your Facebook, buy directly from farmer, buy your meat directly from farmer, etc. This will shake the industry. I'm telling you, you don't need much, but this will start a revolution. Even 10%, then supermarkets will feel it. And another thing is what people don't realize is that the prices at supermarkets, they are all fixed. It's one rocketeering scheme
yep,
where if we will really narrow down who is owning those stores, 90 to 90% of places selling food, that just large uh, stores like supermarkets like Tesco, Sainsbury, Morrison, Asda. So there is no moms and pops shops anymore. There's no independent ways to buy the food. So pretty much they got 90%. 50% is classed as monopoly. If you got over 50% or 50% plus, you're already
yep,
classed as monopolies. So how about them controlling 90%? That's why every single item that you see in shops, the price is fixed. No matter which shop you will go, can of tuna, pack of lemon, one bread, oranges, apples, the price is fixed and they're not different from shop to shop because there's no competition whatsoever, and they're just pretending that there's a free market. That's what we need to understand. So us just moving 10% of our spending directly to farmers will shake them literally because those people don't have any moral reservation. They're only there for profit. So
mm,
if we send the clear message, just 10% of your shopping, that's all it's needed. It's not that you have to, uh, do a placard to go out on the street protesting. It's a very silent way to say no and show them that we will not put up with this anymore.
yeah,
How can
absolutely.
people, Steph, how can people reach out? How can we connect people? What would be the best way to do it? Because we know the help is not coming. We need to help each other. That's why we've met. That's why we live stream to protest. That's why we're doing this live. How can we come together closer and help each other restore the way that society used to be, because we used to be like this. I remember buying fruits and vegetables from a lady in a small corner shop, and she was supplying from local farms. She was getting her supplies from local farms. How can we get back to this?
I think where people are already doing it, where they use their own local butcher or their own local market, the farmers on the indoor and outdoor markets, start talking to the producers and the farmers, and just get a conversation going. Ask them what the initial issues are, and just say a simple question: How can we help? What could we do that would take things forward? Get the farmers engaging. As I say, there's the people's PFFA is the People's Food and Farmers Alliance. There's also the PHA, which is the People's Health Alliance, which again is run by the same team. It's all done by volunteers. So just as you and I are giving up our time to do what we do, and 1,000,001 others in the volunteer army doing what they do to raise awareness. Um, if you already meet your farmers on the markets and in the shops, ask them what else we can do to help. And ask them to ask their neighbours, do they want to sell at direct to the public? If they're not already selling direct to the public, we'll work out ways that they can do that. I know over in Ireland, I was talking to one of the guys who was running things over there. The farmers have completely stepped away from the government and everything that goes with it over there. And they've come together and they've got buying cooperatives and they've got selling cooperatives. So if the farmers don't want to join the infrastructure, they can do things like that in their own right, in their own areas. The people in their own areas can also create their own cooperatives. There are people out there who can actually expert in these things who can help us to do that. So talk to your neighbours, talk to your friends, talk to the people you buy your produce from, the private people, the individual greengrocers, the individual butchers, the individual people on the marketplace. Get those conversations going. That's all it is, a simple conversation. How can we get back to where we used to be? We don't want to live in the in the supermarkets, they put all these barriers on and traffic lights. What's that about? You can go into the supermarket when the light's on green and you can queue outside for hours on end when it's on red or amber. I mean, that's how ridiculous it got. And they had more security on supermarkets when we were on the lockdown issues and that. It was like, I don't know, something out of World War Two. Like I felt like I was being ushered to the train or something, the way it is. And a simple thing like going to get your weekly shopping for the family. It's beyond ridiculous. Beyond ridiculous. Let's get normal conversations going. Farmers join. Go have a look at the People's Farming and Food Alliance from their side. See if it would work for you. Again, the public, go and have a look at the People's Farmers and Food Alliance. See if it will work for you. Let's get some buying cooperatives going. Get some selling cooperatives going. There's lots of people doing great things out there in small little pockets, here, there, and everywhere. Let's get a system where we can marry together all of those people who's doing those small little great projects and marry them up and give them a structure, one place, one marketplace where they can come together and people will know exactly where they can go to buy and sell. And they don't have to go searching for hours on end on the internet. We've already started to create that in the Lancashire area. A personal friend has got a number of lists going now of a lot of the Lancashire producers. And the Lancashire producers are on there, and you can go to one place and find out who produces this, that, and t'other that you want to buy. And that's great. So either the full structure that's there in place for us all, or small structures, and let's get a database going, a community database, and marry the whole thing together. And it, people power. People power. We are the ones with the power. Where we
That is
spend our money is all that counts.
That is correct. That is the big, I would say, cognitive dissonance. People just don't understand this because they think, oh, it's a politician. They will wave the finger and
Excuse
we
me.
have to do what they're saying. No, we don't. We are public and we are paying them. They are working for us. So literally, and when you got the current situation, which is this is absolutely making me outrageous. When you've got unelected prime minister
Yeah.
who is actually admitting in public that he's a member of international organization like World Economical Forum. And then you got a leader of opposition, Keir Starmer, admitting that his allegiance is with Davos, not with Westminster. How can you have top people in UK politics openly admitting that they're working for some international body?
Yeah, the
This would by
unelected
by
bodies.
the book it would be classed as a treason. You got other state agents intervening in your politics, and then when
Yeah,
you see things like current genocide in Gaza, you cannot use other word. When you see killed civilians, bombing of hospitals, it's atrocities like breaking every convention possible. And then you clearly see the information is in public that Rishi Sunak's family, his father-in-law company in India, Infosys, they are multi-billionaires. They will be facilitating. That's the information, official information. That's why Gaza is grounded now, because they want to extract oil from there, and they will be facilitating contract to British Petroleum (BP), and this will make them something between half a billion to 1 billion. So literally, you see unelected, corrupt politicians, and we're saying, let's say, that Putin is a dictator. And how can we accept this? I mean, this information is out in the public. And then when we're seeing this, because we're forced to see this now on social media, the atrocity of that ethnic cleansing. This is ethnic cleansing, attacking civilians,
there's yeah,
bombing refugee camps, bombing hospitals, killing doctors, killing the level of sadism. It was never ever possible because we didn't even have technology like this.
yeah,
Artificial intelligence is used to target civilians. I mean, in terms of war, this is called scorched earth. So nothing changed in terms of war. It used to be like this in the past, but never was possible on this scale. So atrocities of war now multiplied by use of artificial intelligence and literally bombing innocent civilians into oblivion using top technology, top weapon. We cannot agree. This is the same way like we accepted this so-called lockdowns and all this infringement of our rights to travel. People were refused medical help. Like social contract since 2020, social contract was broken. We must really understand this. Even now, people don't see this, but we are still under emergency legislation. Why there is need for us to still be under Coronavirus Act,
yeah. I know.
emergency laws? Where is democracy? Where is accountability?
There is none. There is none. It's simple as that. There is absolutely no accountability for any of it. And as you say, by the book, it's treason. What is taking place is high treason, and there will be a price to pay when the time comes, and that day will come, as it always has in the past. I mean, it comes down to something, isn't it, when the normal citizens are having to discuss what the so-called leaders are doing. You know, they are our servants. They are public servants. They are put there to serve the people. And they are busy filling their own pockets and making themselves vast fortunes of money, even on a local level. If somebody wants to understand a lot of what's taking place now, if they go back and study something called common purpose, if they really look into common purpose, that will tell them a tremendous amount about what is going on out there today. Yeah, you've all heard of Agenda 21, now Agenda 2030, you know, and the Rockefeller lockstep. Well, it's all there. It's all in print. It's not something that somebody's made up off the top of their head. If anyone wants to go and look at these things, it's there in black and white. And so all you have to do is put a little bit of time to one side and study these things. Your small local council is not what you think it is or what you always thought it was. It's a corporation. Your county council is not what you think it is. It's a corporation. Your police are a corporation. Your fire service is a corporation. The government is a corporation. So, how can corporations dictate to we the people? The men and the women and the boys and the girls. We're the ones with the power. We're the ones where we can buy whatever we want, wherever we want. We have inalienable rights that were given to us by God that cannot be taken away, not by any elected persons, let alone unelected persons, but certainly not by unelected persons. I just wish people would just wake up and smell the coffee.
I mean,
But
it might come to rude awakening, because all this is being smuggled under first this notion of emergency. Now you've got all of the sudden you got deadly kung flu, you got then deadly climate changes. It's always
yeah,
invisible enemy that you cannot somehow locate, measure. But this is their way to petrify people, to terrorize people.
yeah,
So we are under constant threat, threat to democracy. Rishi Sunak is when he's using this term, threat to democracy, he actually is very specific. He said threat to our democracy. That would
mm,
mean to their regime, to their dictatorship. Those
yeah,
people language. It's a Orwellian language. When you got in Orwellian phrases like war is peace, slavery is freedom.
yeah,
We come to this because when government, through unelected Rishi Sunak, is saying we have to defend our democracy, that just means we have to
yeah,
defend our racketeering scheme, and
yeah,
we are not allowing public in. Like, how can we have something like Scotland voting so-called hate speech law, where you're not allowed to criticize the government? Like, when did we came from the democracy to fascism, where you're being dictated what you can say? When you can't say your
yeah,
thoughts, you're living under dictatorship. Is
uh-huh,
it, but then
absolutely.
what you've mentioned on council, I will just mention something. We just went out, just three members of public and myself, so just four people. We joined local council meeting in Rotherham, and they were actually surprised because they're just not used to any accountability whatsoever. Nobody asked the question because pre 2020, everybody had their head down. We were carrying on with their living. You were doing your job. I was doing my job. We didn't look at what they're doing, and those
Mm,
people themselves, like you said, councils are not what we think that they are. But then on the other hand is that maybe even councils themselves, they don't understand devastating policies that they're introducing, because it all looks like so friendly, so rosy. Oh yeah, we'll just close town center and we will put that cycling path. Yeah,
yeah,
so we will have fresh air. It sounds on a like the packaging, it just looks like a pink present packed with a red ribbon on it, right? But it's
yeah,
nothing like this, because when they are blocking access to town center, they are effectively killing all the small business, and that's where this is
yeah,
heading. What I mentioned, the big picture is for the big business is to take everything,
yeah,
because you and me, every small business owner, every farmer, every self-employed person cannot carry on indefinitely. Well, now we've
yeah,
got quadruplet or quadrupled cost of energy. So your, let's say, coffee shop that was paying 1,200 bills a month now is facing bill of 5,000. How can they cope up with that?
no, they
So
can't.
that's what they are setting infrastructure of destruction. This is the deliberate demolition. I will just quote some numbers so people can understand. Um, because I summarize what they've done over last 3 years, but I just need to find that note. Okay. Um, no, that's not the one.
While you're having a look, Radislaw, I was just looking into the number of farms in Lancashire alone and the number of related industries to the farms. Don't forget, it's not just directly the farmers themselves. There's all the agricultural engineers, there's the tyre people, the hydraulic pipe people, the digger people, the feed industry for the animals. There's a whole vast array of other industries that's connected to the farming industry. So you can count how many farms we've got, but then how many job losses would be purely on loss of farming, and then start looking at the wider industries. And in one county alone, it's just beyond it's
But that's what they
beyond thinking
want
about,
to.
really.
They
Sorry,
want
go on.
to destroy the whole foundation of everything that we know, society, economy, and they just want to take it all. That's the
Yeah.
plan. That's what people need to understand. I did like little summary of what was wasted throughout what I refer to as scamdemic. Some people say there was a pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
We might vary in opinion, but I estimate that they printed approximately 2 trillion pounds over that period of time, and then I will talk you through the sum. So, uh, 450 billion. That's nearly half a trillion, and we're talking trillions and billions. The
Yeah.
billions is 1,000 millions. People don't understand those numbers. The simple example is that if you got 1 billion seconds,
Mm-hmm.
sorry, one. I'm mixing this up. 1 million seconds. That will be 11 days. 1 million seconds. 1 billion seconds. That's like 37 human years. If you can get
Yeah.
the scale of that.
Yep.
So people just cannot comprehend what the billion mean.
It's
So
like playing
450.
Monopoly. Sorry,
Yes, for
it's like the game of Monopoly, basically. Sorry, go on, man.
yeah. So 450 billion. That was cost of interest for furlough, for unnecessary lockdown. So now, why do we pay interest on the money that the bank printed?
Mm.
If you borrow me something, you borrow me your car, your tractor, or you got £2,000 in your pocket and you borrow me that, yeah, I'm taking
Mm-hmm.
something physical from you,
Yeah.
right? But they are just printing those money, and now
Yep.
we have to pay them interest. We are making them rich for what? Why do we have to borrow those money? That's the whole racketeering scheme. So we got 450 billion spent on the cost of interest for furlough. I'm not sure what was the furlough cost in total. I just got cost of interest. That's what I found. Then there was 37 billion pounds spent on track and trace app. People tend
Yeah.
to forget so quickly, because you were told that if you get message on your phone, you have to stay home for 2 weeks, right?
Yep.
Only because you walked past somebody and your phone told you so. Very, uh, very fraudulent system, because how
Mm-hmm.
can the phone check if you're infected or not?
Well,
But
it
they said
can't,
this is track and
basically.
trace. And then you got three, 37 billion pounds spent. Then there was approximately 27 billion pounds spent lost in fraudulent bounce back loan, and those bounce back loans, they were underwritten by government. So basically
Yep.
banks, hand in hand with the government, they were facilitating fraud, because
Yeah.
where are those money? Why this is not being
Mm-hmm.
pursued? Because you have to go and register yourself as a company director. You should show turnover to obtain that loan. There was two tiers of bounce back loan. One
Yep.
was 100% underwritten by the government, and there was a second tier of bounce back loan. which you would have to produce your turnover, show your trading history, and show your credit worthiness. So let's say you will get some sorts of preferential loan in that respect, but then still you would have to produce um, evidence that you're credit worthy. But then
Yeah.
those banks, they just literally they handed money to anybody. You could open company in one day, go loan 50,000, and in week time close the company,
Yep.
defrauding that money. Nobody is
It's
taking into account how can this happen, and that
it's
just
very yeah. It's similar to in the past, Radler's sorry. When land was at a great price, the banks would loan just about anything, money wise, to buy extra land, extra land, extra land. And then I've seen it for myself. When there's any kind of cracks in the system, in the financial system, they immediately call those loans back in. And they know full well that farmers and people who bought land cannot just find the money just like that. So they call it in, and they lose their land and they lose their farms and their properties and everything else and that, all because the banks just call it back in whenever it suits them to do so.
let me continue on that list. There was still 9 billion spent on dodgy PPE contracts. There was between 1 to 2 billion pounds spent on all around obscene propaganda. You remember those days when you couldn't walk 250 meters without seeing red signage. Stay
Yep.
home, alert, level 4, look them
Yeah.
in the eyes, like frightening messaging. It was all done. A newspaper with the same headlines, with the same front pages.
Yep.
The
Every
reason
single
why
one.
the reason why MSM never questioned the narrative was because they were one of the facilitators of that and one of beneficiaries, because they got paid at least £1 billion over that
Hmm.
period of time.
Yep.
And then there was so many little things like, let's say, half a billion, 500 million was spent on the emergency Nightingale hospitals, and that was
Yep.
just a cost before the commissioning. So you see, you got those places like trade exhibition in London, Excel area,
Yeah.
which was turned into Nightingale Hospital.
Yeah.
So what happened as well? They put all those beds, equipment, and this equipment all of a sudden disappeared and was invoiced back to NHS at full price. The level of corruption in that.
Yeah.
So I already just by going through that short list, I nearly showed up tuned to the 700 billion, 800 billion, nearly 1 trillion already,
Hmm. Yeah.
because we don't see this, and this is not accounted for. That's what I mean. How can you have 9 billion of dodgy PPA contracts and nobody's sitting in jail? That's it's beyond ridiculous, and that's what people need to understand. And this is just the top of the tip of the iceberg, because I was digging deeper into that, and I found study about UK annual fraud from 2017, and it says that annual cost of fraud. That's a study from 2017. So if people they insist on peer-reviewed evidence, science-based, etc. So we got now study showing level of UK annual fraud with a annual cost of 190 billion, which will equal to approximately £10,000 from for every family.
Crazy.
So how can we
Crazy.
cope up with this? And then another thing as well, which isn't discussed, there is infamous City of London, which is another entity, country within a country,
Yeah.
and they conduct pretty much 40% of all money laundering in the world,
Uh-huh.
approximately 40%.
Yep.
And then this is not going anyway. That's why people are confused. They think like, okay, this will just like, oh, there is no more lockdown, so situation is now over. We're good to go. No, we're not, because they are still pushing this agenda. They're
Yeah.
installing cameras all over the place, monitoring
Hmm.
system called this is called smart grid. but SMART is not what we're thinking. SMART
Yeah.
stands for self monitoring, analysis, and reporting technology. It's
Yep.
basically spyware, it's technology that will not do any good to you. So we can see this with ULES expansion.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
now people in London, all over London, now they have to pay £12.50. And how to say, the hypocrisy of that is that they're shouting that there are people dying of air pollution. Sadiq Khan was questioned on this, and somebody requested freedom of information on how many people actually die. Sadiq Khan was claiming 10,000 people dying annually due to air pollution. When the freedom of information request came out, there was only one person who died. That was a disabled child who had severe asthma, who had something put in as perhaps air pollution could be contributing factor to her situation. So that was somebody already with existing comorbidity. It's like one in a million. I mean, how many people is living in London? I don't
Oh,
know the number, but that's just one
no.
in a million disabled person who had something put on their medical card, even remotely suggesting that this is correlated with air quality. But
Yeah.
on top of that, people were showing reading from uh, underground subway, yeah, tube. Sorry, I'm mixing this. It's British English and American English. So you say tube, yes,
Yeah.
for
Underground.
transportation
Yeah.
system.
Tube. Yeah.
Underground tube. So the
Mm.
level of pollution, they're trying to push people into tubes, but then the level of pollution is highest there, not in the car, not on the street. So you can have main street in London where there's plenty of car driving and the air is
Okay.
clean there. I I see that Steph's phone might be frozen. I'm not sure if this is okay. Let's uh, let's wait for Steph. I will just continue on this air pollution. Steph, she can reconnect the stream. So she's on her phone, so maybe battery died or some technical issues. So she will reconnect in a matter of few minutes. So stay with us. So when Sadiq Khan was put to scrutiny, only one person was shown ever to have anything mentioned on the death certificate related to air quality. But the claim was that 10,000 people are dying. But anyway, if you pay £12.50, then screw them 10,000 people, they can die. Because what is being done to clean the air? Is actually what is happening is actually opposite because councils, local councils, they're cutting the trees to install more infrastructure. And if those cameras are in place, that's their plans. If you will look through documents like C40 towns, they want to monitor all aspects of travel. So it doesn't matter whether you go by foot, but you're cycling, you're riding horse, you're a passenger in a car. They want to charge everybody per mile. That's their working document. And it's not just this, because this is connected to so-called social credit score. So they want you to feel the pain while doing this because you're now allegedly affecting environment. So your movement all of a sudden should cause you some sorts of distress because you're affecting the planet. I think Steph is recharging her phone and she just needs a few minutes to come back. So just stay with us. So what we wanted to discuss today was ways where we can go together about this because you see they are installing all this infrastructure, they are discussing removal of cash, introducing of CBDCs, which is programmable money. It stands for central bank digital currency, which can be programmed. So that means no savings for you because you will have to spend those money within a time limit. So you can't save it for a rainy month. Uh, it's just controllable. So somebody can say that you had too many sausages last week, so you can't buy them now. Or person like myself who is attending anti-government protests can be refused option to buy ticket or to buy fuel, etc. That's the level of dystopia that they want to introduce. Steph mentioned when she was on that there are gates and light system installed in supermarkets. Next time when you will go to supermarkets, especially it is large Asda, large Tesco, large Morrisons, you will see when you enter there is a big TV in front entrance, and once you will cross the door, you will see rectangle drawn around your face. I haven't seen this at Tesco's in particular, but I'm pretty sure that they're using same technology. So when you enter Asda or Morrison's, you will see rectangle drawn around your face. What does that mean? You're being tracked and traced. Even if you pay cash, they already got your profile. They know what you're spending, which item you're buying in detail. So the next progression of that will be if there will be cashless society, then they can absolutely dictate you what you eat, what you can't have, and that's the ultimate game: is to control the supply of um, supply of food, price of energy. We're not living under. I'm just texting Steph. Can you come back on? I think her phone, uh, the battery, my died. She was plugged into laptop and it's not charging properly. So you see, this infrastructure is there for a reason. So like all those cameras, ULES camera, they got several functions that they can do. They can measure the traffic. They can measure your movement. They can track you. One of the proposition that those people have is charging you per mile. Effectively, we already paying per mile. If I will use my car to do 1,000 mile, I need to naturally buy more fuel. Effectively, 50 to 60% of fuel is just a duty, which means that that's tax. So I'm paying more. You're being penalized for driving more. You're paying more in tax. Now all the prices of related to cars they went up. From April, car tax is going up. All insurances. I've seen people all around Facebook complaining that their insurance went up. Uh, all this is just extortion, and this is just to price people out of driving. So let's say if you introduce charge of £60 like clean air zone for your van a day, a single day, then pretty much your daily driving cost comes around £100 because you pay your insurance, you pay your fuel, not to mention your labor. So person using van for business is already charged approximately £100 in insurance cost, tax cost, clean air zone charges, etc. To £100. And where that money is coming from? It's coming from your and my pocket because every service that we buy, if you buy bread, if you buy food, everything needs to be delivered. So we are paying for this. So of course we can have as much brand as we want, but this will not change anything. So the goal here is to find solution, and the solution is kind of simple. Like supermarkets, stop using self-scanning tills. Make a little fuss. Just say, "I'm not working here." Request cashier to scan things for you, because people are just getting on. They're putting up with everything. It's not to your benefit. You will not get 10% off if you will scan. You're just increasing profit of a corporation that is now looking to reduce their labor force or to extract more because they're not reflecting this. Prices are not going any cheaper. Basic price of food went up at least 90%, 90 to 100% on every single basic item. And I was buying most of my things, food shopping in Asda in particular. So once I already mentioned there is monopoly in UK. You can't really go and buy food independently, and then it's a racketeering scheme because the prices are fixed. There's nothing you can negotiate here. Your pack of oranges will cost exactly same across 5 stores, so it doesn't matter whether you go to Sainsbury, Morrison's, or Asda, Tesco. You will pay same amount. How can be? They're not even pretending that there is any competition between them. Prices are fixed. Then there's another practice of forcing you to register for a club card, especially Tesco. Like I got friend on Facebook. She posted a picture of I'm not sure what it was. £10 for a coffee, something like this. Like she just joked, I'm calling police. Like the prices are beyond ridiculous, and they say, oh, if you buy Tesco app, then you pay £5. What's the basis of that? How is that even possible? That item can be charged £10 and then £5 discounted if I will allow intrusive surveillance on me. We cannot accept this. I mean, we shouldn't be forced. This is a monopolistic practice that they're pushing, and every supermarket now is doing this. Wherever you go, Morrison's, they're asking you for your card and all this. Why would you have to submit all that data for them? Because you're not benefiting at all. Nothing is being passed over to you. They say, oh, you're saving. No, you're not saving anything. You're not saving a dime. The only thing that they're doing, they're monitoring all your spending. They're selling your data. So let's say if you're drinking, you're smoking, they will sell your data to medical insurance and then you will pay more in your insurance. That's how it's benefiting you. There's no direct benefit. Even if they say some, oh, we just send you voucher. No, they already increased the price artificially, and they say it's cheaper with card. Why it is cheaper? It's not cheaper at all. It is. Uh, it is the way that they dictate the price. The price is fixed, and this is monopolistic practice. So we see now all those groups are being attacked in isolation. So we got farmers attacked in isolation. We got small business. So the whole notion of the so-called essential worker suggests that they are disposable workers or non-essential, like or quoting famous term useless eaters. How can we even accept that notion? We shouldn't. And the way to go about this, because that's where people feel helpless, that there's nothing we can do. It is as simple as buying 10% of your shopping minimum. Shift this, go to local market. Every town should have some local market. Buy this directly to from farmer. Don't buy supermarket frankenfoods loaded with sugars, preservatives. Buy produce, cook your food. This will keep you healthy. This is nutrition. This is nutritious food. When you're buying something which is processed, 5 ingredients or more, it's called frankenfoods. You're not doing any favor to your body. You're eating something which is designed to have long-term shelf life, 3 or so many years, and is designed for longevity and for profit. Everything that those corporations are doing is designed for profit. And again, I'm not saying that corporation making profit is anything bad, but then corporation dictating what you can or you can't eat, how you are supposed to behave, like all this ESG, economical, social score, like promoting certain political agenda, promoting walks. This is not acceptable. So every group is attacked in isolation, farmers in isolation. But then farmers should understand if they can connect directly with the public, then they can bypass their source of misery. Their source of misery is supermarket dictating the price. But then again, this should be reflected in the price of produce because now you've got middleman cut out. Pass the savings on to customer. So if a supermarket is forcing you to sell something for 60 pence and then they are selling this for £2.50, £3.50, obviously there's distribution, etc., cost involved, but mostly it is a profit margin. They are just taking all the profits while farmers are struggling to cover the cost. So if something is being sold to supermarket for 60 pence, then don't come out with price of £2.50 or £3.50 to match the supermarket on the same produce when selling to members of public. Just meet halfway. So this is now somebody is incentivized that they don't have to go and drive to supermarkets because they will pay less. We don't need to feed all those massive corporations, and that's where the whole thing can fall for them. It can fall, but this is last days where if they will install their whole system of like CBDCs, if they will crash economy, destroy the money, then they will say, okay, no problem, we'll just pay you universal basic income, but we will dictate you how you can spend it. So you don't have to worry anymore, but you just have to comply with everything. This cannot happen. We cannot accept this. This will be tyranny of unseen ever proportion. This was never possible before because with technology you can now be forced into submission. I'm just texting Steph. I'm sorry for that. I'm keeping live stream. Just log on. So you see, before we started, we planned initially. We started around 1 o'clock. We started that stream around 1 o'clock. We planned for 11:30, but then there's like setup. We are not professional broadcasters. I'm not. I got a little bit of amateur experience. Steph, she's not technically savvy, but look, she's making effort to reach out to you to pass the message. We all need to do our bit. We all need to understand that the government and corporation they are colluding to install absolute monopoly, to install new system, which is like in the core of that system would be fascism. So that's why we've got like unelected bodies like European Union dictating all the terms, dictating policies. We're not in European Union in UK anymore, but you still understand the principle, but we're still being dictated. Who elected World Economical Forum? Why is our unelected Prime Minister reporting to them? Why is Prime Minister of UK implementing policies dictated by likes of Klaus Schwab? It makes no sense. And what Steph said, this is classed as high treason, where you got top level politicians acting on behalf of other state or other entity, not acting on behalf of own constituents, own citizens. That's the difficult times we're in. But then on the end, is this the Goliath, the giant, is only looking dangerous. It says they don't have physical power to subjugate 8 billion people. They got all ways to deceive people. That's why manipulation, coercion, nudge unit. We had this with so-called pandemic. They had a whole unit designing messaging that was meant to frighten members of public. Those documents are now in open. Sage, they were producing this content. Now the same is happening with this climate change. There is only one narrative. Government then is voting that you're not allowed to protest or to question. How can this be? We cannot. This is proposition that they've got. And the same we've mentioned cooperation, but in layman terms, would you allow guy in McDonald's suit to dictate you how you have to live? Because that's the layman term understanding of a corporation. Okay, so there is dude in McDonald's uniform and is now telling you you have to pay that fine, you have to do this and that, and he's dictating you. You now have to pay for clean air, £12.50 a day. But they're not cleaning the air. They're not using that money to spend on planting trees or doing anything. There is no politician running behind your car with a balloon catching your fumes. Nothing like this is happening. It's just a pure extortion. And I'm following groups like anti-ULEZ groups, and some statements from people are just shocking. It's devastating. So when you got small business owners slapped with several daily charges, and now their bailiff bill is coming to like 8,000 or more. What is that all about? It's a literally exclusion. It's a destruction of a small business. It's a basic freedom of movement. We cannot put up with this. Let me try to reach out to Steph again. I'll just call her. I'm sorry for that, but it is what it is.
I'm so sorry.
No problem. I'm still keeping live stream, so I just put you on loudspeaker. Is this possible that you can rejoin?
Oh, yeah, yeah. My phone crashed completely. Overheated and it just went out on me like a light, and I'm just trying to get some charge back in it. It bent the cable, the plug, the switch, and everything. But yeah, go on.
That could cause it. So I don't know. Maybe we can just carry on and talk like this. I mean, if somebody can just confirm if they can hear you, okay. I'm just using my phone, and you're speaking to microphone.
Okay.
So, guys, if you can comment, can you hear Steph? Okay, can we carry on like this? Because she might have problem with connecting through video. Steph, if you can speak, and I will just check the audio myself. Just continue where we were cut off.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, I'm having technical problems at this end. My phone just completely just switched off on me. I think it's overheated or something. Can everybody hear me?
Yeah, carry on. I'm just checking on another device.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, there's an awful lot that's going on out there that is very, very wrong, and there's been no real law in place since about 1973. But, yeah, all of which to be researched. It can all be checked out. But people don't realise that. They just still think, well, the government's in charge and this is how it is, and they make the rules and we follow the rules. And, and that's how we go on. But that's only because nobody has ever challenged any of these things. But when you look into what's taking place now and the tyranny that we're living under, living in a modern slave system, people are working harder than they've ever worked. They put in more hours in, and yet they still can't afford to live there, and they can't afford to pay their bills. How can that possibly be? When the systems were working in a community, men, it's old-fashioned, call it old-fashioned if you want, but the men went out to work, earned enough money to bring home so that mum could look after the home and the children and, do all the things that make a home, and hubby when he came back home as well. And everybody had a nice life. And yet there's now two people working in most households, and yet they still can't make ends meet. There's something drastically wrong. And it's all by design. The trouble is, it doesn't come overnight. It comes tiptoe, little by little, and you don't notice it's happening. There's the old analogy of the boiled frog. If you throw a frog into a pot of boiling water, it'll leap straight out. But if you put a frog into a bottle of cold water, quietly turn up the heat on it, He doesn't even notice it's being boiled. It's too late. And that's what's happening with us as a society. We are just, with a boiled frog. We're being quietly boiled away in the pot and not noticing that we're being boiled. And every time they want to turn up the heat, we get boiled a bit more. And we just think, well, how can we make this pay? How can we make that pay? And we just keep trying to find a way to keep our heads above water. Whereas, they'd have done this to us in one foul swoop, we'd have just leapt straight out and gone, hang on a minute, what on earth? We're not living in a democracy, we're living in a dictatorship. And a dictatorship is no good any more than socialism is any good. So it's no longer blue or red, left or right. They're all two sides of the same coin or two wings of the same bird. So no one party or another, major parties that people usually go falling out and arguing over, is ever going to sort this one out. It needs to be us. We really need to start educating ourselves and finding out exactly what the hell's going on. And then just saying, well, actually, no, that's not good enough. I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to do that. The simple word no. Nearly everything in life is actually built on consent. It's all about contracts and consent. And in order to consent to a contract, it has two people. One at either end of the contract has to create that contract and agree to that contract and sign that contract. And if there's not a person at each end of a contract and agreed and signed, then it isn't a contract. So we simply have to say no, I'm not going there, I'm not doing it. They want to use implied contracts. So that means if we don't say no, they'll just presume and assume a contract, which is what's taking place all the time, wherever we go, whatever we do. We just need to say, well, show me the paperwork, show me the contract, show me where I agreed to it, show me where I signed to it. Oh, no contract. Oh, no consent. And the only way to break the system is for us to stand side by side as one and just say, do you know something? We're not playing this game anymore. The game isn't fun. We're not playing.
And you know what? Can we
an awakening rather than a restart they want to put us on?
Can we discuss a little bit about reception? Because I thought this whole rally was impromptu, the recent rally in Preston.
Yeah.
If you can talk us about like reception, what was the people reaction? If you can maybe shed a light on that.
Oh. Yeah. It was pulled together in a very short space of time by myself and a chappie called Simon. We'd never met before, but the whole thing came together because Simon was calling me out. I was doing anything and everything I could do to support the farming community as far as one person can. And he was doing the same, similar at his end. And he was saying, well, who are you anyway? What are you? What you doing about anything? And so I just said, how many years I'd been involved in farming and what I was trying to do in raising awareness. Thought, I'm like sort of, well, what are you doing really? So he rang me up and we had a conversation and he told me his son farms across 3 farms out Preston Ray Greenway and farms 3,000 sheep. And I told him that although a lot of the contacts that I'd had in the past had either passed away or retired, and now it's next generation farmers. But we said, well, let's do something. Nobody seems to be doing anything. Let's do something. So we did, and it was done in a very short space of time. There was probably quite, I would say, quite a lot of miscommunication in there, and which I have apologised for. Some of the things that we were hoping to happen didn't actually happen, but we had about maybe 200 people came, and they came from all over the place. We had some farmers, we had some young farmers, father and son, some lady farmers, a representative from the farm even, because we're in the middle of lambing time, so we know there always has to be someone at home checking the sheep. But we had three tractors, two vintage tractors, which were lovely to see, and one tractor that came from a dairy farm in the area that does some wonderful things for children. You can take the children along to the farm, let them learn about farming. So that was fabulous. And a lot of supporters, country pursuits type people who just enjoy countryside pursuits came to support us. People who've been out doing the yellow boards and questioning a lot of these things came to support us. A lot of personal friends turned up on the day to support, and there was a tremendous amount of support for what we were trying to achieve. And so then the rally went out onto the bypass, and we had the signs like "Back British Farming," "No Farmers, No Food," and anything related to the problems that the farmers are having at present. And it was all taken in great sport with the people passing by in the cars, in the vehicles. We got honk if you're concerned or if you agree, and we got lots of people honking the horn.
But that was really positive, unlike protests. Protests from 2020, they were like aggressive when government antagonized people, like your disease spreading, anti-vaxxers, conspiracy theorists, just call them names. So this was like, it wasn't really, how to say, obstructive in a sense.
Oh yeah, no, this was all totally positive, absolutely, so well received. It's untrue. We had two irate people, that's all. One person who we'd made late for getting to McDonald's. But I mean, 10 minutes late to McDonald's. I think McDonald's would probably still have been open. And somebody said, "Oh, is it stop oil?" And we said, "No, it's support the farmers. No farmers, no food." "Oh, that's all right then." So there was very little disruption on the day. Even when we took to the road for our little convoy, it was facilitated beautifully by the local police. They were very good and very helpful, because we had people walking in the convoy as well as the trucks and the camper vans and the tractors that we had. And everyone, we were showing people the signs, stopping the cars that were stopped were asking us what it's all about. We explained to them, "Oh yeah, that's fine." So people were only maybe 10 minutes behind for their journeys. There was a tremendously positive reception to what we were doing. And as I say, very, very few people that were upset by any of it. So yeah, we may not have had a tractor run of 50 tractors that we would have liked very much to have, but the level of support from us on the ground and the people in the vehicles watching what we were doing was tremendous. And that's a massive turning point in what we're trying to achieve from, like you say, in 2020, when people called us all raving lunatics and nutters and conspiracy theorists and all the rest of it and that. And now people are actually realising that we've all been lied to. Every last one of us has been lied to, no matter which side of the fence you sat on. You know, I have friends and family who followed the rules and who are now paying the price or have paid the price, and it's tragic. It really is. But more and more people are saying, "Oh yeah, well I had to do with the judge, but I'm having no more," or I had the booster. I mean, my own closest friend had the booster and a week later had a stroke. So as much as they believed in it all, they said they will not be having any more. And everyone you speak to now, they go, "Oh yeah, no, no more for me." So yeah, the tide has turned. People know that we're telling the truth, that we're not making it up as we're going along.
And maybe I will add on those meetings, and I advocate protest. This is part of democracy, and what people need to understand: if they wouldn't happen, then all that tyranny will just encroach further. If not 1 million people marching in London, if not the numbers building up, then we will be still under some sorts of restrictions,
Yeah,
because it only works. Give them an inch and they will take a mile. So
yeah,
any resistance is good. And then it's just a connection, because we had this um, chat, like we stayed over, we met we made new friends, yeah, on the meetings
yeah,
like this. I found
yeah.
that personally it's always like boosting, it is boosting my morale. First of all,
Oh,
I can still see the same people who went out in 2020, and they're not changing sides. It's like once you wake up to all that reality, then
yeah,
there's no going back to you. And
no,
then it's just our numbers can only grow, because we'll not go back to sleeping. We'll never accept this again. And we're just connecting.
absolutely.
We exchange numbers. Like that's how we've met.
Yeah,
We just dropped the line on Facebook. We just have a quick chat. We met
uh-huh.
on a rally. We
Yeah,
were chatting after rally. Then we decided to do this podcast and like get the discussion going, help
yeah,
people with solution. And that's how you do. Now you got the numbers, now you got new connection.
yeah,
All every time you go out, there's something changing. Little things,
yeah,
that's how we can change. 10%
yeah,
of your shopping, buy local. Reach out. It will You will feel better. You will make friends, because we are all feeling depressed, sad. If you can add on
yeah.
this.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, when they did do the lockdown, I had an elderly neighbour and a neighbour who'd had cancer and one thing and another. So I just went round and popped him a note through and said, by the way, this is my number. You'll see me coming and going all day, every day anyway, because I will just be carrying on as normal. But if you need anything at all, if you want me to pick you up anything from the shops or whatever, you just give me a call and I'll make sure you get whatever you need. And that's what community does. And that this is the time now to rebuild community and to look at your neighbours and look at your friends and start coming together, have these conversations. If someone will deliver fresh produce into the area, and you need 6 buyers to want a veg box, it doesn't take much to get 6 of you who want some fresh produce, and that can be organised. And again, like the farmers, if they want to sell, Simon has just rung me this morning. Actually, he said that he is actually creating a farm shop on some acreage that he has over in Kirkham, Lytham Way. And he said any of the farmers that want to sell their produce direct, he'll be happy to talk to them. They can put their produce in his shop and it can be sold from there. So it's small acorns that bring to grow up into a big oak tree. And that can only be done by the people. Bring back the community and let's get to know each other again. Let not people hiding in the way in the house and being in fear. There's nothing to fear. Everything's going to be fine. And in fact, it's going to be more than fine. If we pull together, we've got the solutions.
Perfect. We've just passed 1.5 hours, Steph.
Oh,
Um,
grief.
so we don't want to hold people any longer.
No,
We will try to get few more farmers on board again and do another one. Maybe
yeah,
prepare more structured discussion of a more actionable discussion, like what can we do. Grab few more people who are like you, trying to um, arrange for
yeah.
solutions, like
Just raise awareness and bring people together.
yeah, discuss
Yeah.
this. So we can always resume this, but we have to start somewhere. Today we were streaming to X, previously known as Twitter. That was something new. I was also trying to stream to Instagram. There was some technical difficulties, but even though, we are heavily suppressed. You understand that they
Oh,
own
right. Yeah.
they own those platforms. It's up to
Yeah.
you. It's up to you, me, everybody, to share that message across, and to support each other, because those people are not working in our favor. And unfortunately, we came to this. This is sad reality. We didn't make this up, but
No.
we have to do something about this. It's for our children. It's for future generation.
Yeah.
We mustn't allow this tyranny to build any more than it already has, and we need to restore the balance. And like you said, and I mentioned this as well, it's ultimately people that got the power. Every pound you spend is going towards something. Just
Yes.
think 3 times. Turn your pound in your
Okay.
fingers before you spend, and just
Yeah.
think, what am I doing? Because when you're buying your Coca-Colas, your McDonald's, etc.,
Uh,
you're not building your future. You're
no, you're building their future, and they're going to take from you more, more and more and more. I mean, the whole thing is designed to get us all out of the countryside and into the cities, and then they can create their 15-minute cities so you can get everything you need rubbish wise within a 15-minute walk. And that only leads to them then saying, well, you've been out 15 minutes now, you need to get back home. If anybody's ever read the book George Orwell, 1984, or seen the film, go have a look. We're well down the road.
right, but still, we will end up with positive aspect. We are mentioning hard facts, and all this can be depressing, but then we will end up on positive note. The positive note was that people showed up impromptu on rally. There was a very positive reception of that. People were honking, they were cheering.
Yeah.
Um, people can see that and then you can't vilify farmer. That was
No.
the main message I got from that day, because people, they're getting this. Some people were angry, like, oh, why don't you tell more about farming problems? But then you can't just uh, pass the PhD in farming on a roundabout, right? Using
Yeah.
yellow boards. You have to show one catchy phrase, and like, no farmers, no food. Everybody understand this perfectly. There is
Yes.
no miscommunication. It's as simple as that. Everybody will understand. That's why people were sounding horn. That's why
Yeah.
people were sympathetic, because you mentioned, if that would be stop oil, nut jobs, then the reaction would be much
Yeah.
worse. But this is real problem, because we all eat food. We all
Yeah.
need to feed our children, and if politicians wants to infringe in this, it's like the it's a ultimate that they can do. Like, if they will take over of a food supply, then they can dictate everything, because you misbehave, you
Well,
don't eat.
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. No. People can eat extremely well, be far far healthier, for a lot less money than your McDonald's and your KFCs and all your convenience foods. And if they actually ever stopped and had a look at the labels that are on packets and tins and things that they buy, I mean, why would the supermarket have one section for healthy foods?
What
What
does
does it
that tell
say
you?
about the rest of it? One small section on healthy foods. Well, does that mean 90% of it is a load of old rubbish? Yes, it
And
does.
look what they done. This was cheeky, and I've been through that period. I went on to vegan vegetarian diet for a period of 4 years. But when this unfolded and I see this attack on farming, I decided that I don't want to eat this. And then what is being proposed, like, oh, go vegan, veganuary. This is just it's just a corporate scheme just to extract more money, because they are just producing this so-called frankenfoods, five or
Yep.
more ingredients that shouldn't be edible, uh,
yeah,
because they are just loaded with preservatives. So those so-called plant-based, they don't mean plants as fruits and vegetables. They just mean plant as a factory. And then
yeah,
look what they've done. When they introduce all those so-called vegan lines, this is usually soy-based product loaded with oils, vegetable oils, and this is not digestible for human body, but it's cheap to produce. So all these fillers, all these preservatives, taste enhancers, it's a crap. It got no
yeah,
nutritional value. But look what they've done. They made them. They price them same way as meat. So let's
mhm,
say your pack of sausages would be £3.50, and pack of vegan sausages would be £3.50, though there might be whatever 10 times cheaper to produce. This
yeah,
is all extraction. This
yeah,
is all for-profit exercise, and people they are getting to people through this virtue signaling, like stay home, save the granny, do this veganuary, and all this. But
yeah,
what they're doing is absolutely opposite to what they're claiming. So that's what
yeah,
people need to understand. Well, our money and what we spend, our consumer habits, they got consequences. And those companies, they don't want anything good for us. So just think where you're spending money. We don't,
absolutely.
and they are not so powerful. That's the bottom line. If you take money away from you, if you take compliance away, don't comply again with the tyranny. If 68 million people in this country say, no, we're not having this anymore, there is
Yeah,
only 240,000 military and 160,000 police, one or another.
yeah,
They can't force 68 million people into submission. That's why the governments or like policing is policing under consent. We cannot consent to police beating people, spraying them with pepper gas because they are saying something against the government. No, the
yeah,
government is elected, should be accountable to people. This is now broken. The voting system is broken. So this will not change overnight. There will be years to come that we need to fight back. So over next 10 years, we need to visualize this in long term, 10, 20 years. All of our action counts. We need to make decisions like buying local. Just start a little. Spend £10 next week on local market, not in supermarket. Then go to 10%. Plan your shopping. I can get whatever beetroots, potatoes, my veggies, and meat I will buy from market instead of supermarket. This will already shake them. You will see them backtracking in no time because that's the only thing that they understand profit. They got
yeah,
no moral reservation. They don't work for us. So if we build the bridge, like we're doing this as grassroots. So Steph and the people like you who are connecting this those people,
yeah,
if we can build a bridge, right, and
yeah,
just kick out those terrorists, those middlemen who are dictating everything, have
yeah,
people buying directly like it used to be, have healthier options, have
yeah,
farmers doing more healthy stuff like not doing all what supermarkets require, like injectables to the meat, organic produce. We want to pay more for organic produce, no problem.
yeah,
But
absolutely.
build a
I mean,
bridge and
in America, they wash the chickens with bleach. I mean, how horrendous is that? People realise that they're getting a chicken from somewhere that's been washed with bleach just to make it smell better and last a bit longer. I mean, it is enough to turn your stomach. So, it's an awareness program, and people need to get aware of what they're eating. But it's coming. It's a project, and like they say, it's not an overnight thing. But they haven't done it to us overnight. It's taken a long time to get us to this place, but we just need to turn it around now
that's what
and
we were
say
doing
enough
because
is enough.
again, like even before we connected we were discussing this, like we're not media. Why do we have to do like broadcasting? We have to do
Yeah,
the broadcasting because this is a war against us. It's literally governments against the people, and we have
yeah,
to do things that are very uncomfortable for us, but then if we don't do them, it only gets worse. because we
Yeah,
will not balance that power.
it's not going to be in the newspapers, in the daily newspapers, and it's not going to be on the TV. So we have to do it this way. It's the only way to reach the people. You know, everybody has a phone, so we can make phone calls, we can send text. But meeting up is the best one. Everybody left that stayed the course at the rally at Preston, left home, left the tickle trout and went home on a high. They were really, really enthusiastic and full of, when's the next rally? When's the next rally? And so that's what it does. You meet people, you make friends. A lovely man saw that I was frozen and went and got another coat out of his car and wrapped me in an extra coat and gave me a pair of gloves to wear. And then wouldn't take them back from me when he was going home. And so I said, promised I'll save them. And then I give them back at the next rally. And that's the way to do. We just, now we've made a start. We've got to keep the momentum going. And this time we had 200. And if we listen to some of the things that were positive and some of the things that were not so great, and make sure we do get a little bit longer for planning, next time we might have 400 or 600 people.
It will build up. Notice what was happening in 2020. Like the beginning was absolute shock, and people were genuinely petrified. The government propaganda machine scared by Jesus out of everybody. So people were genuinely scared. But now look, weather will improve. We're getting into spring, summertime. So there will be more people, and there will be good opportunity to organize locally, like local exhibitions where we can connect with farmers, make a contact network, get this exchange numbers, start buying from you directly, because this will not change overnight, like you said. And I repeated this. Me being Polish, I'm too young to remember this, but then experience this myself. But I remember perfectly well the history of my country. So look, we were under communistic regime after World War II until 1989, when we had the so-called round table, when we had the first democratical election, and then we still had the Russian military present till like 1991, or I think 1993, where they finally left. So look, this took nearly 48 hours for a system to change. I think it will be much quicker now, but we're talking easily 10 years to 20 years. Look, it's 2024. They literally, the time, how we are accelerated since 2020. We need to understand every action counts, every pound you spend counts. And those people are against us. It's a war. Like, as cruel as it sounds, it is a war, but this is new war, because those people in charge, they realize there's no need to use tanks, wreck everything, but they're doing this through methods of behavioral control. That's why everybody is depressed. This is we are not living in a wartime economy where they're bombing us and we're hiding in the cellars, and that's why everything is expensive. No, the energy companies, they recorded 1,000% increase in profit. And I'm not against making profit, but this is obscene. What's the point of having government in first place when they cannot regulate this?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, my favourite saying about a lot of this is when is enough enough? So the people who are making billions and trillions out of us all, when do they draw the line and say, well, we've got enough now, we've done okay, we've done all right, but enough's enough? When do we draw the line and go, look at what they're doing to us? Putting taxes up, putting fuel costs up, putting utilities costs up, putting your council tax up. When do we draw the line and go, well, enough's enough? That's it. We're at the point of enough's enough.
Right. We will close it here. But then again, this is positive. What is happening? We connected. We're talking. There was a rally. We're building momentum, and it's really, literally, it's up to everybody. this will not be, there will be nobody on, there will be no knight on white horse coming, there will be no politicians who will just all of a sudden change this. We have to challenge this as regular people by everyday action, every day saying no to the ridiculous tyrannical rules, and
Yeah.
they cannot enforce. There's no physical power. That's why it's all psychological game. That's the reason why I went into media, because I realized that you can make people aware of what is going on and just empower them like this.
Yes, absolutely. And thank you so much, Radislav, for giving us this opportunity to have this conversation and share it with anyone who cares to want to listen to it. And I hope people enjoy what they've been hearing us discussing. I bet there's millions and millions of people thinking similar and thinking, well, what can I do? I'm just one person. What can I do? But one person with the next person, the next person makes thousands, hundreds of us, thousands of us, millions of us. And, you know, if you share it with your family and you share it with your friends, and then you get those conversations going, you'll soon snowball.
Great. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Thank you for listening. Thank you, Steph. Uh, Connect with us. Drop us some question. We will come back again, getting more people on board for this discussion. So we will concentrate on providing solution. How can we connect farmers directly to customer? We can do this locally. I live in Yorkshire. I would like to do this locally. We got local meetings. We really want to break this chain of tyrannical control, and that's how we do it, by cooperating with your local people. And just recently there was successful something where people succeeded by stopping evictions.
Oh, yeah.
I happen to be involved twice in that kind of activism, but there was another person that was illegally evicted from her house, Shina. You probably heard about this.
A lady with
And
cancer.
yes, yes, and she, thanks to activists, she got back into her house week later. The people
Yeah.
helped her to reclaim the house. So you see, we're making waves where we cannot put with that anymore. We cannot accept. And I was present with a group of activists. We stopped the eviction, and it's just like this was freezing my blood. The thinking, I was interviewing that lady about 5 to 6 p.m. in the evening, but
Yeah.
I had this thought in back of my head: if not those people who turn up in the morning, that fragile woman, 68-year-old woman with her disabled partner, they would end up on the street.
Yes.
The reality of this, I mean, this is just like, it shocks you. What do we put up with?
I know. I know. We're most definitely at the point of enough's enough. You know, and like you say, the tide is turning. I mean, if they're going to put someone with stage 4 cancer out on the street just so that they can steal the property, and that's what's happening. But stealing land and stealing property by the back door is what's taking place. So make no mistake about it. You know, we have to say enough's enough, and we have to stand together. We have to put all our differences to one side, because we all come from different corners and walks of life, and we all have different opinions. But we must stand side by side, put our differences to one side, and work together as one against what is taking place, because what is taking place is just so wrong.
And that's what we're doing. That's the message for
We are.
today. Um, Help us as well to spread the word. Algorithms, they will not boost that videos, but you, by commenting, sharing, liking, you can help us. Share this to groups. Uh, Help the message to spread around. We cannot trust mainstream media. We have to communicate directly, and especially, like, we have to leave that digital world. We are using this digital platform, but at the end of the day, the real change will happen in this in-person meeting, like this rally in Preston. We have to go out, reconnect, like back in the day where people were having meaningful connections.
Yes.
When they knew each other, they knew their neighbor name. It's not happening anymore. And this also another thing that shocked me with those evictions, because I've witnessed only two those situations where we stopped the eviction. But what shocked me was that people were driving as far as from Nottingham to Sheffield to stop
Yes.
eviction of a person that they never seen in their life, but their neighbors living
Yes.
there for 30 plus years, they didn't lift a finger.
Well, unfortunately, that's the society that we've found ourselves in now. So yes, we need to get to reconnect to our immediate neighbours and our wider neighbours, and we need to start looking out for each other again.
I just had a comment, but it's in Polish. It says, "Thank you for what you're doing. We are all doing same. It's like what we must understand how powerful we are as a human beings, because everything that we're doing is making a impact. We've got impact. Every pound you spend, every action, every time you say
Yeah.
no, it's a ripple effect. It's a wave, because they cannot force you. I mean, we're not living in Banana Republic, where they got like 10 millions army and they will come with Kalashnikovs and shoot us all down. No, no. We got the power. We've got
Yeah.
power to say no. We've got power to buy in different shop, spend our money somewhere else. We don't need to buy there for profit. Feed the machine, feed the beast. We
Yeah.
can be more human to each other, and that's why I say. And again, I'm a shy person. You're a shy person, right? We're
Yeah.
doing something which is a big stress and inconvenience. Public speaking, doing media. I don't crave limelight. Okay,
No, me neither. No,
but
I don't.
we're doing this. We're utilizing this platform to speak to people, because this video might have whatever from 100 views to, let's say, 1000. Can we have
Yeah.
possibly 1000 conversation?
Yeah.
No, no, not possible. So that's why we can spread the word, use the technology that they are using to subjugate us. We can
Yeah.
then use this to fight back. We can then use this so-called social media to bring society back, because they just want to put us in digital concentration camp where you got nothing to say. You can be chucked into what is called digital gulag for 30 days, locked up. You can't
Oh
speak.
yeah.
One press of the button.
Facebook jail, where everybody was put in Facebook jail, and when you were allowed back in, you were always at the bottom of the feed. So we've been bottom feeders for a long time. It's time we came up now and become the top feeders.
Look what is happening as well. That's another thing. That's realization and education. On your Facebook, when you're scrolling, count how many posts do you see, and this is somebody who you're following, and how many adverts do you see. You will
Oh yeah.
notice that every third or every fourth post is an advertisement, which
Yeah.
means that Mr. Zuckerberg and Meta, Facebook, they're getting paid for you to
Mhm.
see that advert, and they are not allowing you to speak. Imagine your phone line provider blocking you or arresting you because they don't like what you just said on the last phone conversation to your friend. How does
Yeah.
this work?
Yeah.
But then again,
Exactly.
we got power to demonetize them. Okay, come off the Facebook, go to Twitter, go to other platform, go to Rumble, give power, give money and attention somewhere else, because
Yeah.
this is the problem that people have got. They don't see connection. We're still
Yeah.
staying on Facebook. We're still staying on platforms that hate us. They're
Yeah.
promoting vile propagandas. They're demonizing us,
Mhm.
and they're still making money on us. We are
Yeah.
producing content. They didn't pay us money. Google, YouTube, Facebook, but they will be displaying adverts next to our content.
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah, making vast fortunes out of us. And then even when you want to see your own friends post that they put out, you hardly see anything that you want to see. You only get to see what they wanted to see.
So that's now we have to leave this skewed digital world. We're still
Mhm.
using those tools. Don't
Yeah,
get me wrong. I embrace technology, and technology is just neutral. You can take
yeah,
a knife and make a sandwich, but you can take a knife and stab somebody. The
yes,
choice is yours. What you use technology to do. The technology in itself is neutral. So, but we need to restore the basics of society, the basic of morality, basics of economy, where we are not dictated. Like all we're paying for, let's say, water, and they're just dumping sewage, raw sewage to the sea.
Yep.
Why we're paying them? They should be in
Well,
jail for fraud. There's so many
exactly.
things that we could discuss. Council tax, all these fines, anti-driver policies. They're just making life miserable, unbearable. This is abuse, bullying, and it's enough. Is enough, and it's down to everybody. That's what the message. We got the power, not them. We can really make a stance. Normal people
Totally.
like you and me, nobody special. You don't have to have millions. But next time you're going to supermarket, don't scan on self-scanning till. Use cash. If we do this in millions, if we then buy 10% of shopping directly from producers, from farmers, there will
Yeah.
be ripple effect. There will be waves. They will see earthquake coming. That will be beginning of revolution. It will start from small actions, and this will be something that they cannot control because you can't tear gas anybody because they're going to buy produce directly from farmer. You know what
Absolutely.
I'm saying. But when you go out
Yeah.
to protest, and then they can beat you, they can attack you, they can smear you in press. That's
Oh,
how
well,
we do it. But
they're
in
very
daily
good at
action.
doing that. Yeah. Well, they're very good at trying to make us look like the bad guys, but um, we're anything but the bad guys. The only reason we do anything that we do is because we care about the wider community. You know, I've got 3 very young grandchildren. What kind of a life will they have if I don't stand up and be counted? And so I'm standing up, just as you are, and just as a million and one others of us are. It's for the children and the children's children.
I can confirm that because me being Polish, I wouldn't be living in free country if not generation of my parents and grandparents standing up to the regime. I will never
Yeah,
forget something that my mom said, and it only that I understand significance of this when I was adult person. She said to me she saw tank on the street. You think this just sounds crazy, and you just don't appreciate the weight of it. Because when you really just like boil this down, like think, the bloody government rolled out tanks against
hmm
own population. The level
against
of
their own
depravity, the
people.
level of evil of those people is
Yeah,
unspeakable. And we need to understand that's who they are. And we need to restore humanity, talk to each other, create this, restore the society. We still will use those digital tools. I'm not throwing baby with the water, with the bathwater, but
yeah,
we cannot be in this digital world. The real connection, your neighbor, your friends, meeting in
yeah,
a park, groups, dancing clubs, cooking clubs, whatever. We
yeah,
need to stick down. People in business, they are doing this. They're networking. I know this
yeah,
because this is my professional thing. I'm not making living out of media. And in my professional life, people are networking in business. They're making business like this, meeting every week, twice a week, 3 times a week,
yeah,
exchanging contacts, going together for holiday because they're building trust. And in 10 years time, they're building block of flats, for instance. How does this happening? We need to re-educate people and restore society. I'm sure we can win. If power is on our side, there is 8 billion people and just a handful of psychopaths who happen to hijack the control mechanism. But we will balance this out. And that's how we do it by everyday single action, by choosing how we spend money, by choosing whether we comply with their tyranny or not. And it is as simple as saying no, buying local, using cash, not using their gates, their scanning cards, apps, and all this bullshit. Don't
yeah,
comply. Don't comply. Don't participate. Don't build the bricks to your own prison. Don't enslave yourself by your
yeah.
compliance.
Don't pay with your phone, an app on your phone. Don't pay with a card. Don't go through the self checkouts. Go through the ones where they've got somebody on the till, because all they're trying to do is take away all the people's jobs. Small things, like you say, but the small things add up when there's a number of us doing those small things, and people notice that you're doing. what you're doing, then that we will win. We will. There's no doubt about it. We will win. And it will be wonderful. It will be the way better than it used to be. Community. We will have community again. People who care about other people and help each other.
It was that saying that strong men create good times. Good times create weak men. And then weak men create hard times. So we are through that circle. So this period of time will actually create hard men, because we are unbreakable. We are standing for our future of our children. Those people are there just for profit. When this will come to escalation, they will not fight for profit. They will not put their life on the line for it. And they're pushing humanity to the brink. It's either it's a final call. Do we want to live as humans, or we want to have just ultimate slavery and subjugation? The time to decide, to pick the sides, is now.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And I don't know anybody that wouldn't stand up for their children. If they realise the gravity of the situation and they've got children and grandchildren, I don't know anyone who wouldn't stand up and say enough's enough. And that's where we're at. We all have children and grandchildren, and it's enough's enough. And that's where we're at. And I want to thank you so much, Radislav, for us to be able to have this conversation and share it with whoever wants to share it with us and share it with their family and friends. And, this time next week, next month, we'll see change for the better.
We will circulate, we will connect closer, we will be organizing events like rallies, exchanging contacts so we can buy food directly from farmers. We will do initiative like this, step by step, gradually. We need to shift the power back to people. And we will not, we cannot be dependent on government anymore and all this big business. They will not do, but they will have to adjust. This is unfortunately power game. And they only understand profit and power. That's it. Because if you're just petitioning or you're shouting on the street, they don't care, because that just legitimizes their power, and they just got this high of power because we do whatever we like, and you just have to be subjugated. No, it doesn't work anymore. Enough is enough. That's the message. Our actions, we've got the power. We need to empower ourselves. If I can do it, if Steph can do it, anybody can speak up. Stand up and be counted. Stand up for your children.
Yeah, absolutely. If you won't stand up for yourself, stand up for the children.
Is that saying, if you stand for nothing, you fall for nothing?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, men in overalls made Britain what it was, and now men in suits have ruined it. So let the people take back what they want and make a world in the way they want it to be, a good world, a kind world, a world where, people do actually have community again. That's what it's all about.
Oh, I finished with one joke, if I can. When I moved in, and this is my observation as a foreigner coming to this country, and my reception. So when you come to Yorkshire, you have to learn the slang, and some words are shocking for you as a person whose English is a second language, like local people saying, "How are you, cock?" Okay, and I know different meaning of that word, but it just mean how are you, friend? And in Yorkshire, especially when people say that there are hard people in Yorkshire, I would say it's most heartly people, most hearty and welcoming people that I met. And there is that definition of a word, love. What does love mean? Affectionate feeling, right? But then in Yorkshire, it means person that you don't know. Are you all right, love?
Yeah.
So we have to go back to this genuine human kindness, to this even business is good. Business is good. Like when you're buying cheese, you're buying produce. I just been to holiday to Albania, and I've seen what Poland looks like, used to look like about 20 years ago, before we were hijacked by supermarkets. There was plenty of corner shops, independent shops, micro shops. Somebody was
Yeah,
literally trading out of the one counter. They just had one fridge full of cheese, and maybe they were having few jars with, I don't know, olive oil and other produce. Just maybe 5 or 6 produce in the shop directly from farmers. That's what you need. And to my surprise, I learned that small business there, and we got such a bad view of Albania, yeah,
yeah.
because we think, oh, it's all gangsters, etc. Do you know? The question for you: how much tax-free allowance do they have as a small business? Just guess.
Oh gosh, gosh. Oh, no idea.
One
Go on.
hundred equivalent of £115,000 tax-free for small business. Can you
Oh,
believe?
wonderful, wonderful.
So that's why it is possible for you to have micro unit, just sell
Yeah,
cheese and make a living.
wonderful.
And then you're buying directly from farmer. You're not buying from wicked corporation that will put chemicals, mRNA, gene
Yeah,
modification products, etc. in this. You just know that this is directly from farmer, organic cheese. That's why I will buy from that lady,
yeah.
and she will make a living. I will eat good cheese. Farmer will make a living. This was something that we need to revert back to.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah, totally. Yeah. Let us all have a fair share of the pie. A fair share of the pie. That's it. I mean, you shouldn't have to be going bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger just to try and make ends meet. It shouldn't have to work like that.
And you've
Micro
mentioned
farm.
this during our conversation. Why do we work so hard? Now you can have couple working 2 jobs, working long hours. We can't see our children. We are as productive as never. Never before humanity was so productive. The amount of output we've got, and we can't even pay the bills. And this is fifth richest country in the world. That's why it makes my blood boil. That's why I'm so
Yeah,
passionate. I came here for aspirational reason as economical migrant. I'm believing in business. I believe in capitalism. I believe in people cooperating. It doesn't have to be predatory or abusive. It's okay
no,
for people to make profit, but just provide a service. It should be reflection of your
yeah.
service to people.
You know what I call it? It'd be very, very good if it was capitalism with a conscience. So that's the difference. At the moment, we have capitalism with no conscience of any description whatsoever. But if we had capitalism with a conscience, we'd be all right.
That
We'd
was
be,
the that was role of government to balance the power, but they were
yeah.
hijacked. They
Oh, yeah,
become they sell us out. So that's what we need to now understand. But again, those people, they got no teeth to bite. They can put, oh, that's a law, that's a legislation, I stick ticket on your car, I will send boys to your houses. It's
yeah,
over now.
yeah,
People said enough is enough. You can't
yeah,
intimidate us any longer, and this game is up. We know what we
yeah,
are doing, and either you come to terms and you accept what your job is as a public servant. That's a definition. Public servant.
yeah. I mean, they were never meant to go into politics to make themselves rich people, but that's exactly what's happened. They were meant, as you say, public servant. It's in the name. They're there to do what's best for the people. So those who are in there just lining their own pockets and making themselves extremely wealthy, what's that all about? That's not why it was designed. It's not the way it was meant to be. And it,
Revolution will not start from that place. This place is rotten. Revolution will
yeah,
start from individual people. And that's the message, because otherwise you will end
yeah,
up intimidated, you will end up scared, and people
yeah,
got this mental block. What poor little me can do? Of course, poor little you and 68 millions of poor little yous can do a
yeah,
lot. We can
exactly.
make a revolution. We can change everything because we've got the power, not them, not few psychopaths. Only because psychopath will say something to you, does that mean that you have to comply?
No,
No, they have no physical power. They got all intimidation, all the manipulation, all those things. But that's it. The game is up. Now,
Yeah,
stand up and be counted. Stand up for
that's
your
the one.
children. Stand up for your neighbors. Stand up for your family. Enough is enough. We now have to restore humanity as it used to be. We need people who are welcoming, who is trustful to each other. We don't need people choosing between hitting and eating and
Yeah,
obscene levels of profits for corporation and them they dictating us how we have to live. That's
yep.
that's that's not acceptable.
I agree. I agree with everything you say, Radislaw. The time is now, today, this moment, not later, not tomorrow, now. The time is now. Make that decision. Say enough's enough. And,
Okay.
and that's where we go, day by day, and it'll grow.
Okay. Thank you, Steph. Thank you for everybody. Thank you for tuning in.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Radislaw. Bye for now.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.